I just realized that the Christian life and the gospel is about Christ living his life in and through me, which I had never heard before. And if I did hear it, it went over my head or in one ear and out the other. It didn't register. And when that registered with me, it just changed everything.
Welcome to this week's episode of the His Hill Podcast. My name is Kelly Doherty, and I'm your host. Today I have a friend with me. We've known each other for a couple of decades at least, if not more. He's holding three fingers up. We've known each other for 3 decades. He and his wife both were students with us, and then they stayed and came on staff. We served together for a while, and then they moved to New Zealand, where he and his wife are now in a ministry there that we'll hear all about in just a few minutes. But this is Dale Epp, and Dale is from Canada, living in New Zealand. Welcome to the podcast, Dale.
Thank you, Kelly.
It's good to have you with us. I appreciate you taking the time. You came in for the reunion celebration, the 50-year reunion that His Hill just had, and you're staying. You have other people in the area that are involved with supporting you and Patty in the ministry there, and so you're visiting people right now. But you had a little bit of time, and you were willing to come in. I appreciate that. Dale, I've already said a little bit about you, but let's get some more detail. Could you first just tell us where were you born? Where did you grow up?
I was born in Taber, Alberta.
Okay. Is that in southern Alberta?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And farmland, right?
Yeah, my dad was a farmer.
Okay. So you grew up on a farm. What was life like?
Well, we were there till I was 6 years old, so not too many memories there. Okay. But it was just, we actually lived in Vauxhall.
Okay. And where is that?
Half an hour north of Taber.
Okay. just over the hill and past the creek.
Yeah, exactly. Over the Old Man River.
Okay. So did you grow up there?
No, just till I was 6 years old. Then we moved into Lethbridge.
Oh, okay. Yeah, now Lethbridge I know. Yeah. And what was life like for you? What kind of a kid was Dale?
Probably pretty normal.
Yeah.
Yeah, my dad was still farming. We just lived on the outskirts of town, and he was still renting a lot of land outside of Lethbridge.
Oh, okay.
So summertime, always out on the farm working.
Okay.
Yeah.
So did you grow up in church?
Yes, we went to church. Yeah, as long as I can remember, even from day one. Yeah, there's quite a heritage actually. My grandparents were missionaries in Africa.
Oh, really? That's right. That's right. I sometimes get confused with that because we know your cousin, who is more like an aunt, is an aunt that's more like a cousin. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, and we knew that her parents were the missionaries, so that would be your grandparents.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So they were missionaries in the Congo, as it was known at the time. Mm. So my grandfather's name was Abram, and my grandmother's name was Sarah.
I didn't know that.
I know.
Well, it is quite the heritage, and now you're the missionary.
Yeah.
In another land.
Yeah, and it's even funnier because when my grandfather he sensed God call him to go to the mission field, he didn't know where originally, just like Abraham's calling, to leave his country and go to a land he knows not of.
Yeah.
And so that's what they did. And then even funnier, once they got out to Africa, then for the longest time they couldn't have children either.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
then they had
when she was pregnant, when they found out she was pregnant, which was, I think, I'm just guessing, I don't know exactly, but around 8 years or more, then all the Africans were getting excited because they thought Isaac was coming. But it's not Isaac; it was my mother. But they did become
he did become a father of a multitude.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's how they ended up. Well, how I ended up in Alberta was because there was a civil war over there back in the time.
Oh, okay.
And so the mission evacuated them out of the Congo during that time. And so he took a placement in Vauxhall as the pastor
Okay.
for 2 years. After 2 years, it was deemed safe to go back, and so they went back.
So your mother met your father
During that time in
Okay.
Vauxhall, and then she wasn't going to go back. She stayed and she got married, and then the rest of the family went back.
Okay. How many siblings do you have?
Just one.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Now, when did you become a believer?
I remember my mom leading me in the prayer when I was around 7 or 8.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what did that mean to you? Do you remember? Did it?
I actually kind of feel I had a sensitive conscience back then.
Yeah.
And so, and we were going to a church there in Lethbridge on Sunday. So all my whole life I was raised going to church.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, I was very much aware that
Okay.
God was in my life.
Okay.
Didn't always know how it was working out, but I was just doing the next thing.
Okay.
And at the time, at that age, just everything just felt normal and real, and I had a relationship with God. And to some extent, I think I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
What were your teenage years like?
Somewhat wayward.
Okay.
Yeah. So when I was 16, it was suggested to go to another school in another town. So I actually went to Caronport for my last 2 years of high school.
Okay. Suggested because you needed some more discipline or what?
I wouldn't say discipline. It was just probably to pull me out of my current friend base.
Okay. And so was that helpful or not?
Actually, it really was.
Well, first, why don't you explain what Caronport is?
It's a boarding school at the town of Caronport, which hosts the Briarcrest Bible School.
Okay.
Or Bible College.
Okay.
I'm not sure if it's still called that, but
Yeah. So it was a positive thing for you.
It ended up being very positive for me.
How so?
Yeah. There was, for the Bible school, I mean, the town exists because of the Bible school, but it was, there were traveling teachers and evangelists that would come through and speak at the Bible college to those, and we all attended chapel every morning before school began.
Okay.
Including all those who were at boarding school at the high school. And there was one evangelist who came through who took the week of chapel sessions for 5 days. Then there were evening sessions as well. It's the beginning of the year, second or third week. And it was a featured thing. It wasn't that we had chapel every day, morning and night every day. It was just for a certain week near the beginning of the school year. And it was his name was George Verwer, who started Operation Mobilization,
Oh, really?
OM.
Okay.
And the Lord was really speaking to me, and felt like I was the only person in the room. And so I got my life right with Christ. I responded to the invitation, and that probably is when I really knew that I knew the Lord.
Okay.
It was my conscious awareness was opposite to what it
Okay.
was prior to that.
How old were you?
16.
Okay. Wow. So you how did that change things for you? What was it like then for the rest of high school?
Oh, my whole disposition changed.
Really?
Yeah. It was like night and day compared to the way I was living. And it was, yeah, I just was spiritually hungry. I was, yeah, it was like I had never been aware of that before.
Oh, okay. Wow. And so you finished high school there. You're growing in the Lord. You're aware of His presence. You're walking with Him. Where did you go after school?
Well, backing up a little bit, near the end, it was after graduation for the summer, I began to get very frustrated with my Christian life. And it didn't really seem that the Lord was answering my prayers.
Okay.
It seemed like I was being ignored. It seemed like if he was answering any prayers, it was like he was not answering them according to how I wanted them to be.
Yeah. That's often our frustration. Isn't it? Yeah.
So it was I liken that period to like a honeymoon type of period,
Okay.
where everything's, easy the first couple of years.
Yeah.
And you're just delighting in the joy of the Lord. It didn't take much effort at all. But so I don't know what it was, I don't know if you call it a honeymoon period wearing off, but I had plans and ideas of what I wanted to do with my life.
Okay.
And so I got really frustrated by the end of that summer. And almost deliberately said, I'm going to do things my way.
Okay.
It was almost like a conscious choice. Like, if you're not going to answer my prayers the way I want them, then like you're taking too long for this to happen. So I started taking matters into my own hands.
Okay. And how'd that go for you?
Fine.
Did it?
For a while.
Okay.
Yeah. I went over to BC after that. Went to university there in Langley, and that's where I met Patty.
Right. At
Yep.
Trinity, right?
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, I was pursuing a life as a musician. I started a band. We were playing in the clubs and writing music and going in the recording studio and putting stuff out.
Yeah, let's talk about that time of your life a little bit. You say a band, recording music. Just tell the listeners exactly what this means. Like, what kind of band?
It was a metal band.
Okay. And it was not just not just your bunch of buddies getting together in a garage and making noise, but this was a serious endeavor, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and you were making some headway.
We were.
In kind of a big way.
Well, I like to think it that way.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
I remember as a student, you showing up and you were down in town in one of the corner stores, and you're going through a magazine, and you actually found in the magazine an article on your band.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, you were making some noise.
We were.
In more ways than one.
No, it was very intentional. I did have an agenda. I discovered that I could write music, and so I was writing music. I knew what I wanted to do with it. I knew where the sound I was going for, and I knew. So when I moved to Vancouver, there, I was searching out other musicians to find the drummer and lead guitar player and singer and different things like that. So yeah, very focused. Yeah.
And Patty, you met Patty at school, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how was she with you doing this whole scene?
Oh, right behind it.
Okay, right
Yep.
in there with you.
Oh yeah, right
Yeah.
in there. Yeah.
And how did that go for you? What did all of that do to you? You know, when you look back, how has that affected your life? How did it affect it at the time?
I was just thoroughly enjoying what I was doing. Like, things were taking place, things were happening. We were playing, doing concerts. We were getting more popular. Our demo tape was, back in the day, you recorded demo tapes.
Yeah.
Not everyone and their dog could just put it on a computer nowadays.
Right.
But we paid big money to go into a professional recording studio, and we were mailing our tape all over the world, and we were getting orders back from, I don't know, there were Portugal. We even had a couple of people right from Russia and
Really?
Germany, Spain, United States, Mexico, Japan, all over the world.
Because, I mean, this was not like you weren't just like a cover band. You were writing your own material.
Yeah, original stuff.
Yeah.
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 Yep. And so we were in the process of, this is the way you did it back then. It was different.
Yes,
It's totally,
right.
music scene is totally different now. But that's what we were compiling reviews. We were sending it into magazines, fanzines, different things like that to compile written reviews. And then we were making a press package to submit to record companies, and in hopes to sign some kind of a deal.
Yeah.
And so we were on our way.
Yeah.
And so we started seeing our reviews being published in some magazines, and so that was exciting.
I bet. So where were you with the Lord in all of this? What was going on spiritually?
He was just there in the background.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You still considered yourself a Christian, a believer?
Yeah, I knew I was a Christian, but I also knew I was not living deliberately that way.
Mm-hmm.
So I even, with the band, whenever it came to, just talking religious, spiritual topics, I wouldn't admit that I was a Christian, because I knew that I wasn't a representation of what I knew a Christian should be.
Oh, interesting.
So I would just say I wasn't. I knew I was, but I said I wasn't.
Okay. And what did the Lord do with all of this?
Well, a couple of times one of our lineups broke up, and the singer and I carried on, and we replaced those people, and we carried on, and so we were still pushing forward, and we were still seeing results from that, and in a good way. Mm-hmm. And it was great, and then things just came to a head at one point. After 5 or 6 years, and we ended up breaking up. Mm. And I'm like, good grief! And Patty and I went on a holiday. I was there to rethink and regroup and get my head straight of what was going to take place, how we're going to proceed. Because I was still committed to doing this. Like, there's no stopping me.
Yeah.
So, but that whole experience all contributed to what I'm doing now.
Okay.
Yeah. But anyway, that was probably a crisis moment where the Lord used to call me back to Himself.
Mm. And what was the process in that?
Well, when you put your blood, sweat, and tears into everything, and then it just fizzles in front of you, and it's like a start over. You got to start over again. That's very disheartening, discouraging, depressing, and so it was the Lord getting my attention that enough is enough. You've lived your own way long enough. It's time to come back to me. And in that sort of broken, desperate situation, I knew in my spirit the Lord was calling me back. You've run out the end of the leash. It's time to come back. Mm. And so it was through that. Yeah.
And how about Patty? Was she going through similar things?
Yes, we were already married by this time. And just life started getting rocky generally.
Yeah, because she was a believer too, right?
She was, yes, she was.
Okay. And so both of you are going through this together. And what was the time span between the band breaking up and you coming to Bible school?
About 4 months.
Oh, wow. Okay. So when I met you, you were just 4 months away from
just
this.
Fresh, yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so I just knew that I needed to get my life sorted and get straightened out in a way where I knew I wasn't living right, but I knew I couldn't do that forever. Mm-hmm. And so, because the Lord just met me in a way I can't really explain. It was just one of those things when the Lord calls you back after you've been a prodigal for so long. For some people it's longer, some people it's shorter, but that was my time. And so I just kind of knew if I'm gonna carry on as a musician. I want to at least, and I didn't want to get into a Christian band. I still wanted to play in the secular arena, but at least I want to know what I believe and why I believe it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so, and there's many, current, musicians in the scene that are doing that today that you may not even realize are Christians.
Right.
So, but that's, because I didn't want it to be like a ministry type of thing, like a lot of Christian bands these days. It was just going to be in the whole secular arena. I'm going to carry on playing and touring and recording and that.
Okay.
So it was a breakaway from that, and so I just wanted to know, just get a good grounding. So I did not want to go to a formal Bible college. I didn't want to get a degree. I was never going to be a platform minister of any sort. I wasn't going to be teaching or preaching, none of that business. It was just for my personal knowledge and usefulness, and that was it.
Okay. So with that, you started to look at Bible schools.
Yeah. So, and the only thing I knew at the time was that a Capernwray, because my aunt had been to His Hill, and I knew of a place called YWAM. And as I looked into it, I probably favored the Capernwray idea, because it was actually, like I said, I wanted to know what I believe and why I believe it, and I wanted to understand the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
And what I saw with the YWAM, that it was more mission focused,
mm-hmm.
and I wasn't into that
mm-hmm.
where I was at, so I wasn't going to go down that track, and so we ended up down here. One of the things I because I was working long hours, and during the day, during office hours, I had Patty, my wife, call the office here to make sure I didn't have to cut my hair.
And when
my hair was a big deal.
When you think about what Dale's been telling you, with what kind of music he was in, picture, everything that goes along with that, and you've got a really good visual of what Dale looked like. I mean, his hair, he had this beautiful long head of hair. It must have taken quite a while to get it like that.
I was mistaken for Larry Norman once.
Were you really?
So long blonde hair.
Yeah.
But because I was still intended on restarting another band maybe, or carrying on in that anyway, I didn't want to. And my hair did not grow fast. Mm. It was a slow thing, so I wasn't gonna do that. I made my wife call the office and ask if it was okay that I had long hair, because if it was not okay, I was not going.
Okay.
Find somewhere else.
Okay.
No, it was in the second year. I was looking for a second year program because the Lord turned my life around again.
Well, let's talk about that before we get to the second year. Your first year, you show up, and what were the challenges? What did the Lord do with you as a student here?
Well, the penny probably dropped, as they say, during Thanksgiving conference.
Okay.
Yeah. And I was like, we were enjoying the Bible school, and we were enjoying the teaching, and we were learning a lot. And then at Thanksgiving conference, Major Thomas was here, and Peter Thomas, mm-hmm. his son. And the combination of those two series that each of them were doing, respectively, especially when Major Thomas was speaking, I was just riveted to what I was hearing, mm-hmm. and I was just dumbfounded. Mm. I don't know if that's the right word.
Yeah.
And shocked.
And put it in a nutshell. What were you hearing?
He said things like, the Lord Jesus didn't come to get you out of hell and into heaven. The Lord Jesus came to get God out of heaven and back into man again. And I'm like, what? I thought that was the whole thing, so that we can go to heaven when we die, And he said, forgiveness of sins is not the goal. It's true, but it's incidental. Mm. And it was just that those kind of statements were just rocking my understanding. Mm. And so when I began by the end of the week, when I realized he was actually going through the book of Esther. And it was his series on the book of Esther, If I Perish, I Perish. And I just realized that the Christian life and the gospel is about Christ living his life in and through me, which I had never heard before. And if I did hear it, it went over my head or in one ear and out the other. It didn't register. And when that registered with me, it just changed everything. And I remember, I don't know if you remember, but I remember walking into your office nearly with tears in my eyes and I was so angry. Like, why haven't I been told this before?
Yeah.
I feel like I've been ripped off about what the gospel is. That's just where I was at.
I've had a number of students come to me with that throughout the years. Why has nobody told me about this? And one person I remember, some friends of ours, and we were out for dinner with some friends, and I was wanting them to make sure as believers they knew this, that Christ, the same thing that Major had told you, he didn't save you for the purpose of getting you out of hell and into heaven. That happens. That's part of our salvation, but in and of itself, that's not our salvation. But our salvation is being saved from us to live the life we were created for, as found in Christ, God's very life. And they patiently sat there, and when I was done speaking, they said, "That's exactly what the Lord's been teaching us." I can't tell you how many times that's happened, where you're trying to explain something and they're just being patient, let you finish. And the wife said, "Kelly, when I realized this, I was so angry, not at the Lord, but at my church. Why did they not tell me this?" And then she said immediately, and it was the Lord working in her heart, immediately she said, the second thought was, wait a minute, you've had a Bible your whole life, and you've had my Spirit living in you. And she said, this is on me. And and I thought that was quite a statement.
Yeah.
And you're nodding your head, I think meaning that you can identify with that.
Yeah, it wasn't necessarily my upbringing. It wasn't necessarily the church I was going to, that I was brought up in. It was just, it was just where I was at, and I can't put the blame on anybody else necessarily. Yeah, it's just I had access, but I was impatient. I wanted to. I had ambitions with my life, and God wasn't performing to answer my prayers, and it's all my fault to a large degree. Yeah.
So your first year was just a watershed moment for you.
Yep. Yeah, it changed everything. Yeah, and so by the end of that year, I just was so spiritually hungry. I just had to have more. Just had to have more. I wasn't ready to go back and restart the band again, although that was definitely my intention. I just wanted one more year. So, and at that time, Cape and Ray Harbor and Ravencrest were the only two schools that had a second-year program. And so I looked into that. I asked Charlie. He said, "No, we don't have one. We just an internship." But I wanted to study more like it and actually do more that way. And so I looked into another place, and one of the things was that I needed to cut my hair, and I was like, "You got to be kidding!" So we discussed things on the phone a couple times at length. I visited the place and talked it over, and so I had to make a decision if I was really going to go for another year somewhere or not. I remember in frustration at one point calling Charlie and saying, "Why can't you just start a second-year program? Like, why can't, so I can come back there, And anyway, I remember being at a stoplight in my car, and I had to make a decision whether I was going to go to this place or not. And then I said, okay, Lord, I know I have to make a spiritually mature decision over this. It's only hair. It's, it's not a big deal. And so I said, okay, if you want me to go, I'll go. And if I have to cut my hair, I'll cut my hair. Fine. And we went back to our friend's place that we were staying at. And I drive in the driveway, and she comes out of the house, and she goes, oh, Dale, you just had a phone call. There was a Mr. Charlie McCall, and he said to call him back because he has a second-year program for you to come down to Texas to.
Wow.
And I was like, whoa. So we were the guinea pigs for that second-year program.
Yeah, you guys, you were here as interns, and Charlie would meet with you and the interns weekly. But
we also had classes with the guest speaker too.
That's right, yeah.
And we also went through Romans with Charlie. So it was the beginnings of fleshing out what a second-year program would look like.
Right.
So we had more classes than in the past, what interns did in the past.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was, what year was that?
That would have been 95.
Okay, so 95 was the beginning, really fledgling. It wasn't what it is now, but it was the beginning of a second-year program. Yeah, which has been a blessing, throughout the years, and that was that's neat to look back and see, what was going on to prompt that, to get that going. Yeah. So okay, you did 2 years, and then things. Did you guys expect at any time during that second year that you would be staying to come on staff?
No, not at all. No, we were before we had come to the Hill, I had already been apprenticing as a carpenter in Canada. So I got my red seal or whatever you want to call it back then, and I had finished that before I came as a first year.
Oh, okay.
So I was all fully qualified, and then. But in our first year, when Peter Thomas was here at that Thanksgiving conference, that was the time period where they were looking at making a move, moving Cape and Ray, New Zealand from Auckland to someplace else, someplace more suitable than the place that they were at. And I just said, I'm just so thankful for the investment that has been made in my life personally from the ministry of Torchbearers. I'd just like to give back if it's a possibility. I didn't even know where New Zealand was. I was just offering my services. If they needed to build a dormitory when they relocated, if they needed some renovations, I'd be happy to come volunteer just as a thank offering kind of thing. And so I just made myself available in that way. It wasn't ever intended to be a long-term thing. I just wanted to then give back, and then that's it. And then we go back, and it may not have even happened. At the end of our second year, by that time, they had purchased another property and relocated. And then Peter reached out and said, hey, if you're still available, it'd be great to have you come down. So we did. So it was 30 years ago now, we went down there and became part of the volunteer building crew. And we built a big facility down there and dormitories and did all sorts of stuff. So we were there a year and a half. Yeah, and then just at the time that we were leaving to go back to Canada, I was at a crossroads. By this time, I'm 3 years out of the music scene in Vancouver, and I was like, "Gee, should I get back in? If I don't, what do I do?" And we didn't really know what to do. So, but when we were about to leave, we had a fax. Remember what those were? And we got a fax from Charlie and said, I heard you're going home. It'd be great to have you come down here and join us. And so the offer was there, and it just resonated like you wouldn't believe. And so we knew we were coming back. So that's how we ended back here on staff for another 5 years.
Yeah. Okay, for 5 years, you guys ended up buying a house, renovating it, and adding on to it.
Yep.
A really neat place, turned it into a beautiful place. And then you ended up back in New Zealand. going back, and this time not to just join a staff, but basically to start a new Torchbearer ministry on the South Island.
Yeah. Yeah. We were happy here.
Yeah.
Our daughter was born here during that time, and during that 5-year period, she was only 2 when we left. And I vividly remember the day coming home from work, working that day. I went home. We were going to have dinner at our place, just my wife and I, and 2-year-old. And I walk in the front door, taking off my work boots, and she said, "Hey, we just got an email from Peter Thomas." I said, "Hey, how's he doing?" "Great. He wants us to come come down to New Zealand and run a Torchbearer school they want to start down there." And I'm like, I'm still untying my boots. And I said, "No thanks. What's for dinner?" It was literally that abrupt of a decision. No, I'm not going. There's no need. I'm happy here. I'm content. I'm satisfied.
Yeah.
There's no need to move. Let's have dinner. End of discussion.
Wow.
So,
and the Lord changed all that.
my mistake was praying about it. If I hadn't done that. Yeah.
So you guys moved. I remember the move. I remember the day you left. And
Yeah, everyone was up there loading the container.
Yeah.
Yeah, packed up, put it on a container, and we went down 2003.
And then you guys started the ministry there called The Crossing on the South Island.
Mm-hmm.
How many years were you there?
We were there 11 years. We started and pioneered that work down there. Initially, it was an extension of Monavale for students that wanted to stay longer. So it was kind of like a second year type of idea on the different locations. Yeah.
I remember you and I were together at a Torchbearer conference in British Columbia during this time. And we were both on the docket for speaking. And I can remember sitting in the audience listening to you preach. And I was just beaming. I was just praising the Lord because it not only were you up there preaching, but with clarity, presenting Christ. And I was I was so excited, thanking the Lord. And I want to tell the listener why. Because I taught a course here when I was full-time called Speaking Methods, just to teach our students how to get up in front and speak, and just the process of preparing for that. And then as part of the class, the biggest part of the grade would be that each student would give a presentation themselves. And they had a certain amount of time they had to cover and different things it would be graded on. Do you remember this?
Yeah, I hated that.
Yeah.
I wanted to get out of it.
Oh, did you ever? Dale came into my office. He sat across from my desk and he said,
"I'm not doing this."
That's exactly what he did. And it was with attitude and a definite, I am not doing this. And I just said, "Dale, you've got to do it." And he says, "Well, I'm not." I said, "Look, I get it, but there's nothing about you that is any more special than the others. If I don't let you do it, then it has to be the same for everybody." And we had a talk. You were so frustrated, and at certain points in that conversation, you looked like you were ready to come out of that chair and come at me. You did not want to do this.
That's exactly what I wanted to do.
I could see it.
I wanted to throttle you.
I could see it. And you just got up and you walked out.
I was mad.
Yeah, you were. And you left and you put it together, and it was a good presentation. And then there we were a number of years later. And I like to tell this story. I use it as an illustration in other places. I said, now this guy is he's in another hemisphere. He's preaching and teaching in different countries and even in different continents very clearly. And I just think it's a great example of, how the Lord will, he doesn't need our confidence in our flesh. He doesn't want it. Not only does he not need it, but and he doesn't need our strengths. He needs us. And needs us. He wants us. And he will equip us, empower us, and use us for what he has for us. And I've seen that displayed, through you, and I praise God for it. Just how to where now you even this, you weren't crazy about doing this, but you were willing. The Lord's put it there in front of you.
You forced me.
Yeah, I twisted your arm. I think what you display is, I'll trust the Lord. This is what he has for me. I'll trust him, and I'll open my mouth. And, how the Lord has continued to use you over these years has really been a ministry to me. It's encouraging to me. Because, you showed up as that rocker. And not that there's anything wrong with rockers, but you had attitude written all over you when you walked through that door in the dining room, the fish house, that first night. And we went together like oil and water. It was, but what the Lord has done, I think, in both of our hearts, has been, really a wonderful thing. And I get excited when I look on my phone and, something's come from Telegram or with Facebook, and sometimes it's just a stupid video that you're sending me. And it's funny because we laugh about, we have, kind of inside jokes with each other with music and things like that. But just what the Lord has done, even in our friendship, I just see a softness in you that I think you would say is not natural to your flesh, and it's just praise God, it's just a wonderful thing to witness and to be reminded of. So not only do you speak of Christ when you're preaching, but I see where you speak of Christ and how you live and how you are with people. And I think that takes me, I want to segue with that, is I see in you a passion for others. A desire for others to see and know Christ. And so with that, tell us about the ministry that you're involved in now in New Zealand.
I was going to interject there. What's funny, what you don't realize is that message where we were at that Torchbearer tour, that was my first sermon ever.
Oh, really? Wow.
I had taught at the crossing, but I resisted speaking or preaching. And whenever we had a Sunday evening service, I always got the guest speaker to take it.
Wow.
I would not do it. I would not put my hand up to preach in church. Never. That's not doing it. I'm happy to teach my students, but, or maybe teach at Monavale. But that was it. But anyway.
Well, I think that just, I think, again, that just speaks to.
It's too funny.
It is funny.
Yeah.
And I think God has a sense of humor. But I think it just speaks to, what the Lord will do in the heart of the one that wants him. And sometimes we go kicking and screaming. And sometimes, just, and I think also we think that to walk in maturity with the Lord means that I'm going to reach a point in my life where I'm not afraid. And, you'll be waiting a very long time if that's your requirement. And I think the Lord, he gives us things like that to look back and remember he's my sufficiency. He's my enabling. I can trust him in this.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what about the ministry you're in now? What?
Yeah, well, when in 2010, we, I shouldn't say we, because it wasn't our idea. I was approached by some homeschooling parents to do something, just do anything with their high schoolers. They approached me, these two families, wanting something for their homeschool teens because they were dissatisfied with what was happening in their youth group. There was no teaching going on at all. It was just entertainment based, type of thing on a Friday night to keep the teenagers from doing bad stuff.
Yeah.
So just get them at a youth group and let's have fun there instead.
Yeah.
But there was no content, and so they were kind of frustrated that there was no teaching agenda. They wanted to have some kind of an event or camp or field trip take place, something where that could happen. Homeschoolers have to create their own field trips or camping trips or whatever it is, and it's a lot of effort and organization to get a group together to do that. And they're already homeschooling the other kids, and so who's going to take up the reins? Because it's a big ask.
Yeah.
And so they needed some kind of outing of some sort, and they wanted to meet more like-minded kids in the same situation, where they wanted more teaching and just to expand their personal friend base network. So they pitched it at me. What is there anything you can do? We thought you might be able to do something because you're organizing students already, and so maybe you could come up with something. And I said, I have an idea. And so what I said, I'll get back to you. So as I thought about it and prayed about it, I thought, we're going to do a camp and come on Sunday and Friday, till Friday, a 5-day camp. And it really wasn't original. It's just a basic template of a week at any Torchbearers school. Classes in the morning, discussion groups or, small groups. In the afternoon, we'll do some activities like you would at a normal summer camp. And we have another class in the evening. And so it's a teaching-based camp. So we actually go through a book of the Bible every year. Three different components to the teaching. Aside from going through a book of the Bible, we'll have some apologetics, and we'll have some life issues that we'll address. And have a big Q&A session at the end. And have some time for worship. We have some discussion group times every day after the classes. And that was basically it. It wasn't that creative. It was just a template of what we do, a day in the life at His Hill, really, or a day in the life of Bodenseehof. It's a similar type of thing. And they liked it, so we had kids come to where we were running Bible school. Some students would stay on after we had our graduation, and we did it the following week. And then they just stayed an extra week, some of those students as leaders, camp counselors, and then they left the following week after the camp was done. We called the camp Jumpstart. And so that's how it started. And so we used it kind of as it started as just a one-off ministry thing at the end of that year in 2010. And then the next year, we just put it on the calendar. Well, let's do that again. So we did. And the next year's students, we pulled aside some of those and asked if they wanted to stay an extra week at the end. And that's what we were doing. And the Bible school we had there was closed after 11 years of running it. And so in 2014, we did our last Jumpstart camp at the Bible school.
Yeah.
And shortly after that, I was at a crossroads, didn't know what I was going to do. I'm back working construction in New Zealand there, and sort of available for teaching or preaching. And I thought, well, I could do the camp as well. I could just go to another facility and rent it for the week and tell everyone to come there. So we tried it out, and it worked. It just worked. So, okay. I had no expectation or even ambition about this camp ministry at the time. I was just doing it to serve, I guess. no plans, no agenda. It was just a great thing that we were doing, and everyone loved it too. So and my kids were getting to that age where they were going to come and they wanted to go, and so I naturally just kept doing it every year there on the South Island. We lived on the South Island of New Zealand, and so in 2016, I just thought we could probably do one on the North Island. So we did, and it worked. And so I started recruiting. There was Cape and Ray students from the North Island that jumped in to be leaders, and they timed it so it was part of their ministry week. Mm-hmm. And that's how I got the leaders there. And some of them on the South Island were former jump starters who had been through the camp. And so that was just an annual thing every year, 2 camps a year, one on each island. And that was just happening really nicely. Mm-hmm. When I went in 2023, I went to Australia, Cape and Ray, Australia. We were doing a building project, volunteer building project there, renovating some staff accommodation. And there was a family on the volunteer project. They were homeschoolers, and they had 4 of their daughters. 2 of them were at the age, 15 and 17. And on the first day, when we were supposed to sort of introduce the team and who's all coming and where they're from, and a bunch of volunteers coming to do this project, I was there for 2 weeks. This one family, the project manager just said, "Hey, so as we're introducing ourselves, we all did that." And he goes, "Dale, why don't you tell them about what you're doing in New Zealand on your camp?" So I said, "Oh, okay. This is what we're doing." Went through the thing, and a couple of days later, this family approached me and said, "That sounds really interesting. Would you ever want to do that here in Australia?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah, I suppose we could." I said, "Where?" And this mother was making some suggestions, and what came to my mind right away was, well, what's natural for me would be to do it here. And so let's talk to Adam and Callum, and had a quick meeting with them, each of them, and they thought that was great. They thought, that's a fantastic idea. Let's look into it. Let's do it. So exactly a year later, we were back with our first Jumpstart camp there in 2024.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was great. We had a full camp too.
Wow.
Yeah. Four teens flew all the way from Tasmania.
Wow.
1,600 kilometers. I'm like, who does that? Especially homeschoolers, and fly to Sydney from Hobart, Tasmania, and then get on a underground or a train, system for another couple hours to get to where Cape and Ray is. Yeah, and that just floored me. Those kids, they just went back to Tasmania and said, "That was so awesome. Can we get them to come here?" So I answered that and explored it a little bit, looked into it, and prayed about it, obviously, and said, "Okay, well, let's see if we can go there." And that's when I discovered this is actually transportable, this model. And I don't need to be locked in a box of one place, one location, blah, blah, blah. So we did our second one at Cape and Ray, Australia. And then just this last February, we went to Tasmania, and we did that camp. It was fabulous. It was a lot of work to get that organized and ready so that we could just arrive and execute it. And, that was just amazing camp. That one was a really special camp in a lot of ways. And while we were there, I had this guy who was teaching apologetics. He was from Western Australia, from Perth. And he has a camp ministry as well, very, very similar to what I'm doing. And when he showed up in February, he said to me, I was just speaking at this place a couple hours away from home. I was doing some ministry stuff, and he said there was these 2 groups of homeschoolers there that were expressing a desire to have something more intentional and discipleship focused for their teenagers. And he said, I thought of you immediately and said, well, I know this guy who has a camp, who might be willing to come here, who's probably what you're looking for. And he would probably be willing to come because his model is transportable. So their ears perked up and said, let's talk. We would like to, let's look into this. And so that's how this is taking place. And it looks like 2027, we're heading over there.
Amen. That's incredible. Praise God. You know, what I'm going to do is put a link to your website in our show notes. If anybody's interested in checking this out, we have listeners in New Zealand as well as in Australia. And, you know, if you think this is something that you would be interested in, I encourage you to check this out. And also, if you think the Lord would have you talk to Dale about being a part of it, you know, I know that they at times are needing bodies to help. So just, you know, go to the website, get in touch with Dale, and let him know. I encourage.
That'd
you
be
to
great.
do
If
that.
there are any Australians down there listening, or that you want to join in to be a leader at one of these camps, that'd be fantastic to hear from you.
Would you be open to having people from other countries come?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So if anybody listening is, you know, if the Lord's speaking to your heart and you think maybe you should check into this, then click on that link and get in touch with Dale. Well, Dale, I've kept you longer than I said I would, and I'm not shocked that we did this. I think you and I could probably sit and talk quite a while longer, but we're gonna stop it here. Thanks again for giving me the time, because I know you're real busy right now trying to touch base with so many different people, as well as just trying to get some rest. So thanks for doing this, Dale. It's good to spend time with you.
Thank you. It's been great.
You have been listening to the His Hill podcast, featuring our host, Kelly Doherty, and Dale Epp, a beloved guest speaker, former student, and staff member. We hope you enjoyed hearing from Dale this week, and that his words were an encouragement to you. We are at the end of our second week of summer staff training, and the first wave of campers will be arriving this Sunday. Please keep our summer staff and incoming campers in your prayers as we all prepare for all the changes that are on the horizon. Thanks again for joining us this week for another episode of the His Hill podcast. Remember to keep your eyes fixed on Christ. I'm Lizzie, and we'll see you next week.